Today's lecture is on the use cases. So let's discuss what are the use cases. Use cases are used to show the user requirements or high level functionalities of the system. High level functionalities are actually the user requirements. And what are the user requirements? So user requirements are the core features that are either for the users or either come from the users. So this means that are requested from the users or are developed for the users. When we categorize the requirements into three main categories. The first category is the business requirements. So business requirements are actually the goals, the business goals or the objectives that must be achieved from the developed software. Then in hierarchy, the second category comes is the user requirements. So to achieve the business requirements or goals, the system must complete or the system must fulfill the user requirements. And then at the end we have the system requirements. So system requirements can be functional requirements and can be non-functional requirements. Functional requirements are the detailed functionalities or concrete details that are needed by the system in order to achieve the high level user requirements. So when we talk about the functional requirements, that are actually the low level requirements, but the high level functional requirements are means the user requirements. So if we talk about the functional requirement, this means we will talk about the detailed system requirements, functional requirements. And when we say high level functional requirements or high level functionalities, this means the user requirements. So use cases are used to show the major functionalities or high level functional requirements. And who operate the functional requirements? The user operate the functional requirements. So here in the use case, we must have to show the type of users. User can be the any operator, it can be customer, it can be client, supplier, it can be salesman, it can be any person who operate the functionalities. The relation type, which we will discuss in this lecture, and then the functionality, major high level functionality. Use case diagram shows the relationship between the system and the outside world, but here outside world means the user. So if you see the word use cases, so this means cases under uses. So this means we will talk about the user. Use cases mean user oriented. Use cases offer communication in customers and users and developers. Remember that use case is the diagram or the modeling type that not only used for system analysis, but it also helps in requirement elicitation. So if you see the requirement engineering course, so use case is covered in both elicitation and analysis. So this means through use cases we can clarify the requirements, we can communicate the requirements with customer and user and developer. And why? What is the reason? Because it shows the high level requirements, and then the detailed requirements can be shown in the respective tables and also with the developers. Use case represents user scenarios. They describe the threat of use of that system. The main components of use case include the actors, the use cases, and the relationship. So there are three components, main components of the use cases. Actors are actually the user of the system. For example, student. So student will lie in the actor category. Surrounding of the system like billing system. So actor can be other system because other system operate or interact with the functionality. So anything that is external to the system and interact with that system. So it can be the sensor, hardware sensor. It can be any hardware device. The second component, main component, is the use case, which are the major functions or the top level functionalities, or in simple words, the user requirements. And the relationships, which is in between or among the different actors and the use cases. So remember that the minimum use cases covered by the system should be 1. We cannot say there is a 0 use cases. Minimum 1 use cases, and there is no bound on the maximum number of use cases. Let's come to discuss one by one each component. Actor. Actors can be of any following: user of the system, other system or component of the system, sensors. And this is in this diagram you can see this is the UML notation for used for the actor. So if you draw the use case diagram, so you must have to obey the UML notations. So this is the actor notation. Actor role is to interact with the system, give input to the system and receive output to the system. Obviously, the input will be initiated by the actor, and as a response, the system will give output to that actor. Actor description. UML diagram is not just a diagram. Each actor needs an associated documentation, brief explanation of all the actors, mention the role of actors. For example, student. Who is a student? So a student is a person who is registered to take classes. So you must have to describe when you are drawing the actors, or if you are drawing the use cases, so you first must have to describe in brief the actors. Second example is a lecturer. So who is a lecturer? A person who is certified to teach classes. And the registrar, a person who is responsible for maintenance of the system. What are use cases? Use cases are the high level functionality or service provided by the system to user. And this is the UML notation used for the use cases. It's a balloon shape. Like the actors, we must have to describe the use case. Use case also need documentation. Discuss the high-level functionality representing through use cases, provide input, output, and detailed action of the particular use cases. So this means if you are writing the use cases and you are describing the use cases, so two things are required. First is input to this system use cases, and output of that, the desired output or expected output of that use cases. For example, register for courses. So this use case is started by which actor? The student, and it provides the capability to create, modify, or review a student's schedule for a semester. And third component, which is the use case relationship. So relationship can be of an actor with the use case or use case with other use cases. So remember that action can be initiated by the use cases. So remember that the initial action should be initiated by the actor. But when the action proceeds, So this means the outcome of one use case can be the input for the other use case, or this we can say one use case initiate other use case. An arrow will be drawn towards use case. So this is the relationship. So the UML notation used for the use case relationship is this arrow. This is the simple use case diagram example. We have three components: actor, relationship, and use case. So in this diagram we have, in this first diagram we have two actors, student and billing system. So as I stated earlier, that the actor can be the person, can be the any other external system. Remember that external system. One is internal. If we talk that the use case initiate other use case, or use case is related to other use case, so this means we are talking about the internal components. But if we talk about the external component, so that will be only the actor. So we have two actors, student and billing system, and this is the relationship which show that the actor, student, actor initiate an action for which use case? Registration of course. And then the student verification is done by using other use case, by the other actor, which is the billing system. So this means if student want to register himself, so he must have to pay, and the bill should be generated to him. So who is responsible for generating the bill? Billing system. Similarly, lecturer is associated here with the two use cases: select courses to teach, request course roster. Similarly, registrar is an actor, and there are four use cases associated with this registrar: maintain student information, maintain lecturer information, maintain course information, and create course catalog. So this means we have four main user requirements here. Here we have two user requirements, and here we have only one user requirements, and two actors are dealing with that one user requirements. Laterally, we will not left it here, but in documents we will describe each use cases. So the detailed functionalities will be then added in that respective table. Formal use cases are derived from the scenarios. Scenarios are actually the stories that are originated, that can come, stories can come from the scenarios, can come from the users. For example, if user come or client come and he or she describe about the system in the respective words, so this means from that story or scenario, lengthy scenario, we will derive the main use cases. Full understanding of scenario in sequence is needed. Remember that full understanding of scenario is needed. For example, scenario 1, account open, that is success, steps and outcome to open account. So this means the first scenario is about the account opening. So if you go to some bank and want to open your account, or want to open the online account, so there are certain steps in sequence you must have to follow. Scenario 2, account not open because credit check fails. So this is a scenario 2. So from these scenarios we then pick the use cases and then relate that use cases with the actor and with other use cases. Scenario may include the primary actors, preconditions, main task or functions. So this means scenarios include or may include the actors, the preconditions, the rules, the business constraints means preconditions, and the main task or functions are performed by the actor. And possible extension. What are extension? Means one use case can be extended to furthermore use cases. So we have two types of extension. One are called the includes. What are includes? For the completion of one functionality, one high level functionality or one user requirement or use case, we need another functionality. So this means for one use case we must have to mention some other use case. For example, bank customer can view balance directly or after withdraw he can view his balance. These are use cases for the ATM machine. Customer. So if customer comes to ATM booth, so there are two options. Customer can directly view the balance or can withdraw the money. But withdraw use case can further include the view balance. So directly view and indirectly view. So this is the include use case for the withdrawal also. And extend. We can extend the behavior of one task via an extend relationship. Extend are used to make optional interaction explicit or to handle exceptional cases. So extended are mostly used in the exceptional cases or that are not mandatory. This means these are the optional. Extended use cases are the optional. For example, customer may open an account or may open an account or open student account, or we can say current account and saving account. So this is the customer and this is the opening account use cases. So further this can be extended to the open student account. So this means this is not a mandatory. This open student account is not a mandatory, but this can be further extended. You can see this example. Employee is an actor and we have update benefits, extension points, benefit options, which means benefits are given to the employee. So this system basically give the benefits to the employee. So there should be some certain criteria. So we have further three include use cases. So this means these three are mandatory. This means the employee should update the medical plan. So this is another feature. Update dental plan. This is another feature. And update insurance plans. This mean these three features should be operated first for completion of this use case. But these two use cases are the extended use cases. This means these are the optional. The employee request reimbursement option. So he can or he cannot request. The employee request stock purchase option. So this is also in extend. Remember that when we talk about the include, so arrow will be drawn from that use case to that include side use cases. But for extend, we draw arrow from that extended use case to this main use case. So you should remember this. This is a bank system example. Customer interacted with opening account use case and other two actors are also interacted. So if you go to bank and you want to open an account, so the bank employee deal you. So this means there are three actors associated with this use case. The third one is the credit agency. Customer withdraw funds. Depositor. If you want to deposit money in a bank, so the depositor comes to bank and interact with the deposit funds feature via the bank employee. Similarly, bank employee can suspend the customer account on the request of the customer, or interact with the customer, or inform the customer. Clear funds. Bank employee and bank clearing system both interact with that clear funds. Similarly, if the customer wants to close the account, so he must have to consult with the bank employee who is responsible. So this means for closing account and opening account, the customer and bank employee are mandatory. But for opening, credit agency is also included, but for closing not included. So this depends on the scenario. Who is, whenever you as I already talk about this, that when you derive the use cases and draw the use case diagram, you must have some scenario, and you have to understand that scenario. This is another example for point of sale. Point of sale means the selling system, which include the stock update, the product detail, the customer and supplier detail, the product purchasing detail, the product sale detail, and the customer accounts management and the supplier accounts management. So the main features are the managed customer. So user in this case is the operator. So this is not online based point of sale. This is not, the customer cannot online give order, but this is on the admin side. So we have drawn it from the admin side. User is on his chair, and you order the or operator can either order the supplier, or customer can order to that operator. So what are the main responsibilities? So the main features are the customer management, or customer detail entry or updation, manage the supplier, product stock updation or keeping the detail, purchase of products, sale of products, supplier accounts and customer accounts. For purchasing of products, we might need the products detail entry. Why? If the products are already entered, and supplier detail purchasing is basically the purchasing of product from the supplier. So if supplier and stock already exist, product detail exists, so we don't need these two features here. These are already here. But for the completion of this, maybe the stock is not entered, the supplier does not exist, so this means it can be extended. Similarly, sale can be extended. Remember that we can also mention it here as include, but we will remove it from here. So for purchasing, we must have to enter product and the supplier, but main features are already here, so we have made entry here already, so there might be no need of these features. Similarly, for sale products, we need a product detail and customer detail. For supplier accounts, we need the supplier detail and purchase detail, because supplier accounts contain the debit and credit information, and where it comes, that credit directly come from the supplier, the credit directly goes to supplier, but the debits come from the purchasing bills. Similarly, for customer account, we need the customer detail and the sales detail. This is another use case diagram for services and products buyer. This is the online services and product buyer system, such that anyone can sell their products online using this system, or can sell his or her services. Services can be the mechanic services, the labor services, or like teaching services, and the product and services buyer. So we have three actors included here. Seller, who is responsible for selling the products. Services provider, who is responsible for providing the services, different type of services, teaching, mechanic, labor, any technical service. And buyer. So buyer are both products buyer and services buyer. So sign up. First of all, seller, service provider, and buyer will sign up the system. This means if their account does not exist in the system, they will open the account. So the first feature is the sign up. Here we have login system. For login, we must have to sign up first. So this means login must include the sign up. Seller interact with the products info. So sellers enter their products detail, the quantity, prices, etc. And the payment detail. So payment is another feature. So everyone, either it is a service provider or seller, enter the detail of the payments of the product or services. For example, if we talk about the service provider, so what will be the charge of that person per hour, per month, per week? So the detail will be entered. And service provider will also, like the seller enter the products, service provider will enter the services detail and timing, etc. detail. When we talk about the buyer, so buyer can buy the products, services, and employ buyer. This means a tutor. So we have three other features here on the buyer side. And this services buyer use case is interacted with the book service. And I already talked about this, that the relationship is not only with the actor with the use cases, but this relationship can be of the one use case with the another use case. So here this use case interact with this use case. Similarly, product buyer use case interact with the buy product use case, and the employee buyer use case interact with the book tutor use case, and all these interact with the payment. So this means the payment detail should be the buyer should pay. This means in free, a buyer cannot book the service or product or tutor by booking. This is actually the booking confirmation. For booking confirmation, we have to interact these all three features with this payment. And who enter these detail? The seller and product. So this is the use case which not only connect seller provider but also the buyer features. So you look here, we have 10 or most 11 features in this system, but the detailed functionalities are not these 11. Laterally we will fill a table. So in next table we will talk about each and every use case. So here from this diagram, the first use case is the of registration of new user. This means sign up. We are talking about the sign up. So this is the purpose or name of that use case. Identifier used is UC1, use case 1, or you can use any identifier. Purpose is to register a user. Priority is high. This is not mandatory. You can avoid this priority, but it is sometimes necessary from implementation perspective. So we keep its priority higher. Preconditions of that use case become the user must have some CNIC. And post conditions are that user will be registered successfully. So the type of actions needed are open application. So this means actor action. These are the actor actions. The first action is the actor will open application, and the system response to that actor action is the display items and categories. So he will then register. Click sign up page. So the system response are enter user category in total of the 6 categories given or 7 categories. Open sign up page. Enter CNIC and phone number. So this means the system response will be CNIC verified, information of that person will be displayed. Enter phone number. System verify the phone number and gets login. And these are the alternate course of action. User enter if what if the user enter wrong number or wrong phone number or does not enter an CNIC number. So there must be the system response, that will be the error message will be displayed and the phone number will be verified. So this is the use case one detail. So these are actually the features or detail functionalities. Then when we talk about, when we laterally come to the designing phase, and we talk about the low level design, so through using the concrete details and low level, so through concrete details and low level functionality, the high level features will be implemented. This is the use case 2. The purpose is to add product. The precondition include the user is logged in the seller mode, and the post conditions are information of product is displayed. Typical course of actions from actor side include seller open the application, and the system response is seller mode is displayed. Seller adds products with the details, and the system response is product detail is displayed with details, and add payment detail and payment method also. So alternate course of actions include the add same product with the same detail, so error message is displayed, product is already added. So this was a use case 2. This is use case 3. The purpose is to add services. Preconditions are user have an account and user is logged in the service provider mode. Post condition is service is displayed, and the typical action include open application, add service detail for particular category, and add payment methods. And the system responses are also given. So the use case 4 is about the buying the product. So purpose is to buy a product, so this is for the buyer. And preconditions are user have an account, user is logged in a buyer mode, and post condition include order is placed. Actions are open application, select product category, select any product, add product to cart, select payment method, placed order. Book service. User must have an account. This is the precondition. User is logged in a buyer mode. This is another precondition. And post condition include service is booked. Typical course of action include open application, select service category, select any service, select payment methods, book a service. And use case 6, which purpose is to book an employee. User must have an account, user is logged in a buyer mode, and post condition is employee is booked. And typical course of action include open application, select employee category, select an employee, select payment method, book an employee. So this was all about the use cases in a quite detail. So hopefully you understood, and thank you so much for watching my video.